Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel and welcome to a Some Assemblage Required video, which I'm combining today with Use This Stuff and Off the Board. I will be using a couple of things from the Some Assemblage Required shop, and I am going to be using some inspiration from Off the Board. That is a path. It's like a pebble path that has some black, I don't know, slate, or I don't know what it exactly it is, but it inspired me to work on this layout. And for Use This Stuff, I'm trying to use up stuff that's in my stash, and so I'm going to be using a bunch of leaves and such from the Spectrum Sherbert collection. So I am starting out with some Vicki Boutin foundation paper, and I am spraying a whole bunch of different colors, different monochromatic grays and blacks on it. I did start out with some Lost Shadow Distress Oxide spray. I think I added some of the regular Lost Shadow Spray Distress, not the Oxide, the regular one. I also added some Black Marble ink spray from Dylusions, a little bit of Black Marble Shimmer ink spray from Dylusions. I also added some gray, let's see here, this is a slate gray Dylusions as well. And I was trying to get it to be darker and darker as I went. It was too light with just the Oxide spray from the Lost Shadow. I also used a little bit of the Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide spray. So I've got a whole bunch of colors going on here. I'm kind of going for a, not really marble as in the stone that's marble, but a marbled kind of look of blacks and grays, not something that looks just like a piece of like granite, or not granite, but marble, because marble is usually white. So a marbled look, I guess, is what I'm trying to tell you. So I am spraying a bunch of water on it. I did let everything dry. I used my heat tool to go ahead and dry it and move it around, and now I'm spraying it again with some darker colors. So I'm just building up the colors using my water, my fine water mister here, or spray bottle, just to kind of add to the movement and the flow of things, because I don't want it to look like there's like it's sprayed on with the little tiny dots. I want it to have that look that it is marbled. So getting the different colors to move around is what is helping that out. So I'm just going to keep working on it till I get the right depth of color that I want. It's kind of leaning towards the blue-gray side right now, and I'm not really wanting it to be super blue-gray. I want it to be more gray, black, hickory kind of a color. So I'm just going to keep adding. And I can't really tell you right off the top of my head what color I'm adding first and last, because I went through several iterations, as you're going to see here. And you don't always get to see my mixed media, because like last week I totally forgot to turn my camera on twice, and so this week I am really heavily focusing on making sure you see the mixed media. I did go to my stencil butter, and that one is pearl white, and then the black one is black pansy paper glaze. And so I tried both of them right there, kind of a little bit right of center, because I thought that's where my photo was going to go, so it would be covered up. My photo's not going to go right there, you guys, but it still gets covered up anyway. I tried both to see which one I liked better. I ended up liking the black better. The white was just too white, even though it's not 100% white. It's kind of like a off-white, I guess. Well, more like a pearl, and that's what it's called. It's called pearl white. So so I went through and I went and used the black. And so then I'm doing a bunch of mixed media on these chipboard pieces. These are Dusty Attic cog clusters, and they are from the Some Assemblage Required shop. You can find them over there. I'll put links down below for you in case you are interested in purchasing any of these products. So I've got these two cog clusters, COG, cog clusters from Dusty Attic. They are chipboard, and I am putting this heavy gesso on them, and this is from Prima. And I am just tapping it on because I feel like brushing it leaves brush strokes, and I didn't want that. And also when you brush it on, all of those little crevices where the cogs are tend to get a build up of the medium, whatever medium you're using, whether it's paint or gesso or whatever. And so I didn't want that to happen. So I used a little sponge dauber to sponge it on. And now I am using my paintbrush to paint on some Nuvo embellishment mousse. The gray that I'm using is called Gunmetal Gray. That blue that you see there is actually an expanding mousse, but I'm not using these to create more texture. I'm using them for the color. So they're not really wet. Like if I tried to use a spatula or something like that to get them out of the jar, they're really chalky. Like they would like break apart like a piece of wet chalk. And so they're not really great for that at this point because I've had them so long. But if I add water to them and rub my paintbrush around, I can pick it up kind of like paint and then rub it on wherever I want. So this blue one is called Boatyard Blue. The brown one that you see at the upper right corner of the screen there, or not the screen, but the media mat there, is Cosmic Brown. And then I'm also going to pull out a more turquoise color, and it is called Coastal Surf. And so I'm just kind of adding these colors. I want the browns and the blues and a little bit of the gray undertones to pull through. And it takes several iterations of going through and layering it up to get it where I want it. Probably could have stopped at any given point and it would have been just fine. But I just kept working on it and adding more and more. And I just really like the way that it looks. Now I'm going over it. It's like I said, not adding texture or anything. It's just adding color and that metallic sheen. And I really like the way that that looks. You can see I've got a bunch of leaves to the right hand side at the bottom of the screen that are green and turquoise. So I used all of my blue flowers, but I have these blue leaves left over from the Spectrum Sherbert collection. So I'm going to use those. And then I pulled out the acetate. It's on the left hand side of the screen there. That's the Spectrum Sherbert tidal wave acetate, and I don't end up using a ton of it. I just use some of the butterflies out of it. But those are the things from my stash that I am trying to use up. I'm also still trying to use up thickers, so I'm going to pull out some rose gold thickers to make my title. Now, I haven't even shown you what the photo is yet, but it's just a photo of this place called the Pebble House. At least that's what it is called online. It is actually a visitor center in Wisconsin, and it used to sit at the entrance of this I guess a power plant type deal where my husband's cousin's dad worked. And this Pebble House has been moved a couple of times in history. It's very old, but the entire outside of the house is covered in pebbles. So that's why it's called the Pebble House. And you're going to see it when I show the close-ups, you'll see it a little bit better, but it's kind of cool. And I just wanted to document that I do leave myself a place to do some journaling. I don't do the journaling on camera, but I will be doing a little bit of journaling about the Pebble House in my album. So, and I'll do that off camera. So while I keep working on these two pieces of chipboard, I wanted to remind you that there are a bunch of people playing along with Off the Board. There's a playlist down below so that you can go and check that out. Actually, Off the Board has been going on all month long for the month of July. It's something Crystal Barrett over at Pineapple Papers started many years ago. And I usually play along monthly, which is the last Wednesday of the month. And then in July, she does the whole month long. And I have not done the whole month this time around. I'm kind of pacing myself because I've got a lot of stuff coming up. So I'm trying to pace myself. We've got 31 days of cut files coming up in August. And then MK and I have a new class that is coming out at the beginning of September called Blank to Bold, which is all about mixed media. It's actually Blank to Bold 2. It's our second time doing it, and the content is different than the first time. So I'll put a link down below for that as well in case that's something that you're interested. in purchasing, but there's more details on her Some Assemblage Required website. So use the stuff. I am just using my stuff, and there is no additional links down below for it other than the products that I am using. And MK is doing Use the Stuff all month long with me this month. So we are just trying to work through our stash, and rather than making new items using dyes and such like that, like making my titles out of my dyes and stuff, I'm trying to use up thickers because I've got still tons of them, you guys, and I don't want to just like get rid of them. I don't want to forget about using them. I want to use them where I can. So where I can use them this month, I have been using them. And again, trying to still work through a bunch of the Spectrum Sherbert stuff. And then my Some Assemblage of Required stuff, there is a link to the shop down below. I will also include links to these cog chipboard pieces, and then there is a singular one there. It looks like it is from the same set, but it is not. It is a circle cluster that MK designed and cut, and it is a wood veneer piece. It is at the top of the screen, or the upper left hand corner of the Pebble House photo that you see there, and it's going to go up at the top of my layout. I decided to back these pieces all with black because I like the way they look against the gray background, but the problem I was having is all of the intersecting lines of the leaves that are tucked in was really driving me nuts, and it was really kind of taking away from things. So I just kind of decided I'm going to make them black, and then I'll tuck the leaves behind the black portion. But I don't want them solid black, so I pulled out some Marine Mist Sparkle Spray from Nuvo, and I am splattering that around. And then I am also splattering around some, I believe that is some Black Marble Shimmer Spray that I'm using there. Yep, Black Marble Shimmer, and then the Marine Mist. And then I'm also going to pull out, I think this one is melted chocolate sparkle spray from Dylusions. And I do believe I also pull out some Desert Sand, which is a little bit lighter. It's actually one of my favorite colors. It's really beautiful. And if you're wondering what I'm doing off to the right hand side, I have a thing that it is to mix the bottle so I don't have to sit there and shake it. I set the bottle on the top, and it goes at like, I don't know, 4,000 RPMs and jiggles it around so it mixes it up. It's pretty awesome. I'll put a link for that down below too in case you're interested in it. Anyway, so once those pieces dried from being splattered, I went ahead and backed my chipboard and my wood piece, and I'm much happier with the way that it came out, and I don't have all those intersecting lines poking through all of these gears. So much happier. I did cut a couple of parts too big, so I'm just trimming it down there. Okay, so I'm going to use some liquid glue to do that. The piece from MK is adhesive backed, so the wood piece, which is the singular circular piece at the top of the photo there, is adhesive backed. And I love that her wood is thin and it's adhesive backed, so you don't have to even worry about, throwing any glue down or anything like that. Just peel the backer off like I just did and stick it down. Now, of course, I didn't quite measure right, so I'm just trimming down the black that is sticking out in case you're wondering what I'm doing off screen there. I did use my acrylic block to just kind of hold everything in place while I cut the other ones out. And I apologize that you didn't get to see me throwing all of these leaves underneath. None of them are glued down at this point, so you're going to see me gluing them down here. You just didn't get to see them getting placed. But I just kind of haphazardly tucked them in with a variety of colors layering on top of each other. A variety of colors. They're greens and blues. Let's be real here. But I didn't want like one big splotch of blue and then a big spot, like all the blue on the one side and all the blue green on the other side. So I'm just intermixing them so that I have a little bit of each. And then, but I also don't want them every other one. So some will be layered on top so that it doesn't look like I just went with every other piece being blue or green. And I like the way that looks. So I'm pretty happy with the way that this ends up turning out. I did actually do a little bit of splatter on my background also, and I don't think I showed that on camera, but I did the same colors that I did on the black paper, I did on my background. You can see some of it there, kind of between that top piece and the left-hand leaves. So I really like the way that it ended up turning out. And you know, I actually think I used another spray called Balmy Night. It's a navy blue sparkle or shimmer spray from Dylusions, and I did spray a little bit of that on this background as well as those blacks and grays, and so there is a little bit of a blue hue in the area between that top cluster and the left hand cluster. You know, I was kind of conscientious about not making sure it's all over the layout. I just wanted it to pick up in certain areas. It kind of has like a nighttime sky look right in that specific area, but I kind of like the way that it looks. So here is the Pebble house, and all of those stripes that are on it are actual pebbles that are making the outside of the house decorative. So it's kind of cool. If you want to see more about it, just Google the Pebble house in Wisconsin. It'll come up. It's pretty cool. So, and a lot of work. I mean, who goes to all that work to create the outside of the house with these pebbles that are all the same size, creating all of these perfect lines across it? You know, I don't know, maybe somebody who did masonry and was super talented. I didn't actually note in my mind or even recognize who did it when I looked it up. But it is now a visitor center, so you could potentially stop in there. We did not actually stop. We stopped long enough to take a photo of it, but we didn't go in. So we were there on a day that it was raining and super hot, but it was raining, and so yeah, it doesn't look like it's raining in that photo, but it was raining. So just kind of off and on in spurts, and it was really hot and humid. Apparently that's unusual for the time frame we were there, but that's the only time I've ever been to Wisconsin for anything, and it did not make me want to stay. Like, I mean, I'm fine to visit, but I was like, yeah, I don't think I would retire here. It's too humid and too hot. I'm used to California. I'm a dry weather girl. So I did put some foam underneath my photo to provide a little bit of support because of the chipboard on either side. I didn't want an indentation in my photo. So that Fun Foam from Walmart, it's actually not called Fun Foam apparently. It has a different name. I can't remember the name of it, but we all call it Fun Foam. It is adhesive backed on one side, and so you just have to use your liquid adhesive or whatever adhesive you want on the other side. So here are the thickers that I chose. They are a rose gold, and I thought that was perfect because I've got those kind of bronzy undertones with that cosmic brown embellishment mousse. It leans towards the kind of bronzy look rather than a true gold look because there's more orange in it. And I really like the way that looks. And then I went to my box of metallic items and I found a couple of tabs that are from Hobby Lobby, and they have what I'm doing here, you guys. I'm just peeling this up because I realized I didn't leave myself a whole lot of room to write, so I'm just moving it up higher, not doing anything other than that. And then I want to leave a little bit of room for this tab, this rose gold tab, to tuck in, and that's the tab that I was trying to say is from Hobby Lobby before I interrupted myself. Do any of you guys interrupt yourself? I don't know. Kind of weird. Off on a tangent. Okay, this top one I am putting upside down, and I am going to trim off the top edge of it because it's not that it doesn't match, but I don't want it to be really, it's like a little floral pink and gray kind of a look on it, but I don't want it to be standing out, so I'm going to trim off the top of that tab so it's not as in your face. Now I am just placing some butterflies. I did take my tiny attacher stapler and put a staple in the middle of where the body would be of each butterfly, so it looks like it's going to be held down by a staple, but I didn't actually staple through the paper. Sometimes I do, and I would just open up my tiny attacher like you would a regular stapler to staple into a bulletin board, and I use a foam mat underneath to attach them that way. But in this case, I decided just to put the staple through the butterfly and then use some glue dots to hold them in place, and that seems to work okay. So here's a little bit of a close-up of everything. You can kind of see there, and you can see those pebbles. You're going to also see them better in the close-ups that are coming up in just a moment here. The stencil, I will have that listed down below. That is from the Crafters Workshop as well, in case you're interested in that 12 by 12 stencil. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions or comments, as always, leave those down below and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Thank you for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it. I will be back again on Friday with another mixed media video. So if mixed media is your thing and you want to know more about it, come back Friday and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.